Stu makes chocolate pudding at 4 a.m. is the original steamed hams. So I talked about this meme in the first layer, but what I want to go further on it is that this is like the same thing as what the steamed hams meme was. Not only are they both famous 90 cartoon scenes of somebody making or getting food for somebody else, but they also had the same idea in the mimetic level where it's just like taking the original clip and just like turning it into like a different like scenario or like setting from like a different universe. Like Stu would become Gurren Lagann, or Seymour would become like Persona 5 or something like that. Like it was just like those same kinds of remixes and stuff, and I've never really heard anybody else like point this out before. Cynthia's original state. So the Cynthia that we see the most is Angelica's, and it's all torn up and like looks like a wreck for some reason, and we've seen like other Cynthias like very rarely, and it seems like normally she's supposed to just look more like a basic like Barbie clone. But yeah, it's interesting. We don't really know why exactly this happened with Cynthia's, or how hers exactly was supposed to look normally, or any other time where she had it in like a clean state. Search for Reptar Unused Levels. So if you read at the cutting room floor, which I highly recommend you go to for the info in this layer, there's 3 unused levels in the game's data that we know of, because they're in the game's data still. One is called The Return of Mr. Friend, which implies that Mr. Friend could have got a sequel and get revenge and try to kill you or something raw. And I mean, this one actually does load, and it has a couple of unused objects, which is interesting. The other is just Ice Cream Mountain. Normally in the game, it's Ice Cream Mountain, then a hole, whichever number you're at. This one's just Ice Cream Mountain. Generally, it crashes when you start up. Don't know if this exactly was meant to be like one general area for the map that they maybe planned at first, or if there would have been like a prequel area at first, or what. But the most interesting of these is Be Bad, because there's no other context in the rest of the game to connect this to. And it implies it would have been more of a mini-game level where it's placed in the game's data, and it also crashes if you try loading it, but aside from that, we know nothing else about it. Mailman II is freaky. I've been wanting to talk about this man for a while. So, Mailman II, he's the mailman who appears in Angelica's Last Stand, and he visits her lemonade stand. And he could initially just seem like some guy who's trying to be nice and support a little kid's lemonade stand, but just his mannerisms, everything seems so, like, threatening and fake and, like, genuine. I don't know, you just have to see him for yourself, but, like, he talks so, like, over enthusiastically and over the top, and, like, his eyes, like, beam while he's talking. It's so fucking weird, and then he drinks so loudly for no reason, and I don't know, I don't trust this man. Developers notes context. Another search for Reptar thing that you can read on the cutting room floor, but in the game's files contains notes from the developers supposedly talking to each other through the computer, and I'm sure many other games, especially like licensed ones, have these. But a lot of them may be inside jokes, but a lot of them are just, like, really, really, like, strange to feel without any context, which is why it'd be interesting to know what exactly they are and just what exactly they're talking about. And then other things have to do with the game, which we never see, like Chucky glitching out and breakdancing. And this is also where we hear the do it for the children thing that comes at the end of the game's credits, which always bothered me, because it kind of sounded like to me that they're just telling that to themselves because they fucking hated their job or something. But yeah, like, I suggest you go read these for yourself and try to put together what exactly these were all about. Search for Reptar off-bounds objects. So sadly, I can't find any footage of these, like, in action, which is, yeah, pretty unfortunate. Maybe somebody can make a video of these or something at some point. Like, I don't know, contact She Says if he even gives a shit about this. But the reason why these are known is because apparently Ding Dong and Julian from Oni Plays fame, they apparently did break off the camera before in this game and talked about it in the series where they played this. And it's just stuff that, like, if you go off the fence in the backyard, then you can see objects for cutscenes such as the raft and, like, 7 Voyages of Cynthia and other things like that. And it's pretty neat to see what's there and possibly what else is out there that's unknown. Regarding Stewie intensely sad, or okay, this is something that I want to seriously like talk about for a while now. I'm gonna turn off the music actually talking about this one, but so what I've heard before is like other people point out how like that scene where Tommy is like looking at the pictures of his dad and crying, how that always made them really sad, and that always made me really sad too. But have you ever thought about how like that scene is like way more fucking sad than it needs to be or should be? Like, I mean, it's a stupid cartoon about babies eating crap, and it's just another like episodic 11-minute run. Like, you know things are going to be okay by the end, but like, I don't know why that one just hits so hard for some reason. And it's not even that, it's like the rest of the episode too. Just like, I don't know, something about Stewie's behavior and stuff like that. I don't know what it was. Like, if he's just so like overly innocent and just like reminds you of like, I don't know, like, I mean this like in the least like offensive way possible, but like those like really nice like mentally challenged people and stuff like that. I hope that doesn't come across as like mean or anything, but you get what I mean. Like, people who have this like really like ignorant innocence, like naive wondrous aura to them, and are still like in a childlike state even as an adult. And I don't want to say this is more sad as an adult. It's like, oh man, I wish I could be a kid again, but like, no, like, even as a kid, like, I still felt this, like, while watching Stewie, and, like, I feel like, all that stuff that I compared Stewie to just earlier, like, it's that on top of him knowing that there's, like, something wrong with his existence, how he knows he shouldn't exist, and he feels like a totally different person from Stu. But at the end, anyways, like, yeah, I'll give up myself so you have your dad back, and I don't know, it's just all so fucking sad for some reason, and it just hits way more than it should, and I don't know, I really hope that, like, other people watching this, like, get what I'm talking about. Predicted Portrait of Ruin. And from that serious note, we're just gonna go for a stupid little, like, joke entry that I threw in that's lighthearted, which is just that Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, if you don't know, the two main characters in there are named Charlotte and Jonathan, and yeah, if you know that, Charlotte from the show is always talking on the phone to somebody who was that Jonathan, and, you know, put two and two together. Well, that does it for the first half of the entire Iceberg. Next up is going to be the rest of the series, which is going to be more bizarre, strange, and dark, and funny. See you then.